A giant green man is burping flies at me. Just gonna tuck that under things video games make me say.txt. Gonna be one of those episodes. Oh well, let's do this. Greetings, everyone. This is the Hipster Snek, here today to cover my first Dreamcast title, even. Today we'll be looking at Power Stone 1 and 2, originally released on the Sega Dreamcast and later ported to the PSP as the Power Stone Collection. This set of crazy action party fighters were pretty popular in their day, but after 2 games and a 1-season-long anime, no one has ever brought them up since. And that's a shame, as with only one exception I'll get to talking about someday, no games like these have really been made since. And more to the point, these games rock. Yes, pun very much intended. The overall plot of the first game, as the narrator cannot tell us fast enough, is that in the early 19th century the world has a stronger belief in myths and legends, and several people travel the world over for great treasure, said to be capable of granting any wish. Thus, the 8 main characters, and 2 more you can unlock by completing the game, set out in order to make their dreams come true. An interesting point in this first game's plot that is largely absent from Power Stone 2 and the anime is the setting itself. It supposedly takes place in the real world, and this is muddied somewhat by having slightly off names, like Falcon hailing from Lundo rather than London, and Ayame coming from Oedo, or basically not Japan. Power Stone 2 sidesteps this entirely by having the entire game storyline take place aboard a floating castle in the sky and filled with fantasy elements all its own. And the 4 new playable characters, plus an additional 1 to unlock, remain somewhat culturally ambiguous. Somewhat. First off, the games look great. Sure, they may be polygonal by the standards of today, but the games have a lot going on at any given time. Of course, you have the fighters, 2 in the first game and up to 4 in Power Stone 2, weapons, the titular stones themselves, mostly coming in 3 types, red, yellow, and blue, at least in the first game, and all the various well-animated special effects all happening at once. I'm genuinely surprised I never experienced slowdown playing these. The characters are all bright and colorful and designed in a very anime-esque style. Cooler still is when the fighter gathers the 3 Power Stones, they can transform into a vastly more powerful state reflective of their personality and national origin. Like Falcon becomes a sort of jet-human hybrid reflective of his job as a pilot, or how Rouge becomes a burning form reminiscent of a Jin. The levels themselves are quite vibrant too, being fairly small in the first game and more open and dynamic in the second, to accommodate a larger number of playable characters, obviously. Also, the games sound great. The music tracks are all amazing, going with this fast-paced music fitting for a fighting game. The sound effects are good fun, staying in this largely slapsticky kind of effects used to lessen the impacts, which works well for the style of the graphics, as when struck by a hammer, for example, your character will become comedically flattened to the ground, Wile E. Coyote style. There are blasts, burns, and impacts galore, all to make sure this frenetic game always feels like it's on the move. Now, the downside? The games never got dubbed, so all the characters speak Japanese, and I don't. So apart from Wang Tang's catchphrase of "lucky," I really can't comment on it. Paradoxically, the narrator speaks exclusively in English, though I can understand if you might not believe me, as in the first game they speak super fast. A lack of subtitles is kind of a missed feature, but this game did come out before that was to be expected in most games, to be fair. Gameplay-wise, the most important part, it's a 3D arena fighter with some twists. First of all, everything in the environment is some kind of weapon, which you can slide, throw, or interact with in order to attack your enemies, in addition to things like your punches and kicks. Not just that, but items will randomly spawn in all over the map, creating a constant sense of havoc. From Molotov cocktails to swords to full-on rocket launchers and miniguns, there is no want for armament in this game, and every character can use every weapon just as well as any other. As hilarious/infuriating as that may sound, you can't overlook the importance of the Power Stones themselves. This is doubly true in the first game, as collecting the 3 stones makes your character undergo a transformation that gives them radically maxed out stats and super attacks to boot. However, this creates a bit of a double-edged sword. The levels in the first game are quite small, so this results in the event of your enemy gets the stones and you then get to play the world's least fun version of Keep Away. You then run for the hills and hope that it's only someone as useless as Gunrock after you and not, say, Ayame or Rouge, or you will just be utterly destroyed along with your hopes of winning. However, the more you abuse the powers in your transformed state, the shorter the duration you stay in it, meaning that there is a strong sense of balance, at least in a player versus player scenario. Okay, I usually hold this bit out for last, but I kinda need to get the gripes with the games out now, so let's go ahead and cover the aspects of the gameplay that I don't like before we proceed. For starters, slow characters in these games suck. Gunrock and Galuda will never ever be as effective in battle as Ayame or Rouge are, because even though I feel like the characters move around too slowly as a general rule, they exacerbate that problem. Next, both games have a nasty habit of using one of my least favorite fighting game shortcuts in game design: damage and health multipliers. Rather than making enemies more competent as difficulty goes up, they just progressively get more health and deal more damage than you possibly can every hit. This results in a truly unpleasant set of mid-boss and boss fights that, despite the fact that this is a Capcom franchise, it may as well have been made by SNK. And if you don't get that joke, get out of here. You're not old enough to have a YouTube account. I know fighting games have been doing this for a long time, but I maintain that it's lazy and bad design, and it doesn't make it challenging, it just makes it harder. And yes, there is a difference. Next, I can't shake the fact that it feels like the game cheats. A lot. For instance, item spawns, they tend to spawn closer to the CPU enemies than the player. When someone drops a stone, almost assuredly going to the side of the field of the CPU. Camera, not a team player. Vulgus can go straight into the bowels of the earth, because he's the worst offender of all the above in one package, easily able to completely destroy you in just a few love taps if he gets his power change. Now, let's take a moment for that to process, because there is a pretty big but here, and I don't mean Rouge. But Power Stone 2 in particular helps balance out these issues in a number of ways. For starters, items are much more dynamic, allowing for greater utility coupled against larger and more interesting level designs. Like this one, with submarines that randomly surface and dive, and it gives the combatants space sufficient to actually strategize. Plus, Power Stone 2 also plays up the party in Party Fighter, with random events, stage hazards, and even pseudo minigames like this Indiana Jones chase sequence. I actually like this one a lot. This helps tremendously by making it so it's not just a matter of stealing stones. Also, the sequel adds additional stones, one for each band of the rainbow, making it possible for two combatants to power change at the same time and even go toe-to-toe. As said, it added up to 4 players in Versus and even the super challenging 3-on-1 arcade for those who want to be pushed to their limits and beyond. While not perfect, 2 also changes the nature of the mini-boss and boss segments to be more massive-scaled with themed challenges. I won't spoil these, as you should learn for yourself how to combat them, but the sequel is what a sequel should be: bigger, better, improved in every way, and have more characters. And lastly, real quick, I'm going to talk about the anime. However, since the last time I did something like this, I was immediately met with a rather definitive "we're watching you, buddy" warning from our YouTube overlords, so I will not be showing any footage from the anime proper. So instead, enjoy whatever random footage I decided is proper for this bit around the time I got to video editing. Set in an entirely fictional world with only loose parallels with the first game's real-world settings, the story kicks off with Pride Falcon, Edward Falcon's missing father, sending his son a strange and mysterious rock. Not too long after, Falcon realizes its value as a power stone and begins having to fend off the dreaded Kraken pirate crew to protect it from their clutches. This, coupled with meeting the mysterious fortune teller Rouge, sends him all over the world to meet the other heroes, each with a power stone to call their own. It ran 26 episodes and was fully dubbed into English if you want to watch it. It's a pretty good shonen action comedy, and all the main characters from the first games get their time to shine. My only gripe was a constantly mispronounced Ryoma's name as Rai-Oma, and Kraken as Kraken, but other than that, it was good. And now I have to break down the bad news. Power Stone, for all intents and purposes, is a dead franchise. Since the 2006 PSP Power Stone collection, Capcom hasn't made any moves to port or remake or sequelize the Power Stone brand. The Dreamcast titles run for well over $300 on Amazon secondhand, and there was never a comprehensive collection of the anime on DVD, just individual volumes ranging anywhere from $5 to $15 each across the 5 or 6 volumes. While the PSP port does run more reasonable prices online, let's be real, no one has a PSP. So there's not really a good means by which to appreciate these gems now unless Capcom does something. Fan petition? Anyone? Much as I hate to end on that note, that's all she wrote, at least for now. Maybe someday Capcom will come around to it and we'll get Power Stone 3. Who knows, anything's possible. Power Stone, taken as a whole, is amazing. The games are great, with the one and only sequel greatly expanding upon what the first game set out to do. The anime is good fun, and it's worth watching today. And if anything ends up developing on this front and a sequel or port are announced, I'll be the first to keep you posted. But for now, it seems that it's at a standstill, so for now, the sign-off. This has been the Power Snek, and thank you for joining me here today. If you liked today's episode, there's always that conveniently marked like button, and if you want more content just like this every week, tap that subscribe and bell icon so you'll never miss a one. And leave a comment down below telling me your favorite Power Stone character. Mine are Falcon, Wangtang, and Rouge. You can follow me on Twitter for updates and notifications, sometimes hints about the newest videos, and if you really want to help out, you can even become a patron on my Subscribestar page, all links available in the description below. Join us here every week for more obscure titles and indie excellence, and I'll see you there.